How many secrets still hide in the endless ocean? Every dive reveals something stranger, darker, and more breathtaking than before. From eerie shadows moving in the deep to creatures no one can explain, divers have captured moments that defy belief. Here are the most terrifying things ever filmed by deep-sea divers. Number 15. The Lost City of Zakynthos. Seeing here, I believe everyone must have discovered that many historical sites in the world were discovered by divers inadvertently. This opportunity to make great achievements by accident may be one of the reasons why many people are obsessed with diving. And in Greece, one of the birthplaces of ancient civilization, there is also a group of tourists. After returning from the small northern island of Zakynthos, they reported that they found many columnar discs during diving, which felt like the ruins of an ancient city. As soon as this news came out, the archaeological community attached great importance to it, but this time the conclusion they drew may disappoint tourists. The mineral composition was tested by X-rays and microscopes. The researchers said that these columnar circles that look like donuts are actually a geological structure formed naturally 5 million years ago. In other words, this so-called ancient building complex is actually a masterpiece of microorganisms in ancient times and has nothing to do with human civilization. Because this sea area is quite special, there is a high concentration of methane dissolved on the seabed. After a large number of microbial communities gather on the seabed, they digest methane and convert it into energy, changing the composition of the sediment, which forms dolomite. It is estimated that in order to popularize science to the enthusiastic people and avoid similar oolong incidents from happening again, the scientific research team specially published a paper in the Journal of Marine and Petroleum Geology reminding everyone that the pillars and discs in the ocean are not always antiques. Number 14. Cancun Underwater Museum. There are many museums in the world, but perhaps only this one requires visitors to learn to dive first. The Cancun Underwater Museum in northern Mexico is built at a depth of 8 meters. If you want to visit it, you must learn to dive. Maybe everyone will have doubts. Since the threshold for visiting is so high, can this museum still survive? However, the attempt was so successful that according to official statistics, the museum has attracted 700,000 visitors a year since its inception. Many people even come to Cancun for this museum. The display of the museum is also ingenious. More than 500 real statues made of ecological concrete are exhibited here. Although they look similar to China's terracotta army, they have their own characteristics. And in order to allow the seaweed to have space to grow and reproduce, each statue also has its own edges and corners. According to the designer's introduction, the reason for doing this is to protect the ecological balance of the ocean, and it also increases the fun of visiting. Indeed, it seems difficult for us to find a more advanced museum than this one. While diving, we can enjoy art while having a close contact with underwater creatures. Number 13. Port Royal. Now, when it comes to Port Royal, most people may feel that they don't know much about it, but if it is changed to Pirates of the Caribbean, will everyone be familiar with it? In the 17th century, Port Royal was an important city in the Caribbean. However, this is not only the base camp of pirates but also breeds various evil deeds such as gambling, alcoholism, and slave trade. It was once known as the most evil city on earth. But what ended all of this was not human beings but natural disasters, which can also be said to be God's will. On June 7, 1692, a strong earthquake occurred in Port Royal followed by a tsunami. The entire port was turned into ruins. About 2/3 of the town sank to the bottom of the sea. In just a few minutes, more than 1,600 people died. Such a legendary city disappeared in such a dramatic way. How could it not attract the attention of archaeologists? Unfortunately, it is not so easy to find its ruins. This city, which has only existed for 37 years, has disappeared for more than 300 years. Until recently, archaeologists at the University of Nottingham in the United Kingdom used optical mapping and robotics to not only successfully restore the appearance of Port Royal, but also help lock the location of its site. Now, as long as the permission of the local government is obtained, people can spy on the mysteries of the pirate city through diving glasses. Number 12. Lion City. Everyone must be familiar with Qandao Lake, known as the most beautiful water in the world, but many people may not know that there is a magnificent underwater ancient city, Lion City, under the beautiful Qandao Lake. In 2014, the local tourism department organized investigators to conduct underwater exploration and found an ancient city at a depth of 25 to 40 meters at the bottom of the lake. So far, this 1,000-year-old city that has been sleeping for more than half a century has finally woken up again. Surprisingly, the entire ancient city is large in scale and the buildings are well preserved. The pavilions are just like the original ones. Even the carvings on the city walls are very exquisite and there is no trace of time at all. In 2017, it was open to the public as a scenic spot in the form of an underwater museum, allowing people to experience its charm for themselves. In fact, Lion City has a long history with a history of more than 1,400 years. According to records, this ancient city was first built during the Han and Tang dynasties between 20 and 200 AD. In 208 AD, it was officially named Suiyuan County and the locals used to call it Lion City. In 1959, the Chinese government decided to build a domestic hydropower station here. In order to build this water conservancy project, it was necessary to block the dam to store water and build the Xiananjiang Reservoir. During the process of sealing the hole for water storage, most of the surrounding towns were submerged and nearly 300,000 residents were relocated. Fortunately, the hydropower station was successfully opened and the newly built reservoir is now the famous Qiandao Lake, and Lion City, which sank into the lake back then, has once again glowed with new life. Now it's time for today's topic. In February 2025, a Discovery Channel dive team filming off Tiger Beach in the Bahamas made an encounter that still gives veteran divers chills. While documenting coral restoration, the crew, led by marine biologist Dr. Marcus Hale, was suddenly shadowed by a shark so enormous it blocked out the sunlight above them. The creature, believed to be a tiger shark, measured close to 20 feet long, dwarfing every shark previously recorded in those waters. Diver Laura Chun described the moment. It wasn't aggressive, it was curious. But when it passed over us, the pressure wave nearly knocked my camera loose. The shark's unusual size and faint scars across its fins have left experts baffled, theorizing it could be a deep ocean variant never seen near human activity before. What do you think? Is this a freak of nature, or proof that undiscovered giants still roam the depths of our oceans? Number 11. Wine in the wreck. If salvaging the colossal objects is too much for experts, salvaging the contents of sunken ships is much more feasible. In 2019, an exclusive customized salvage ship made a special trip to the Baltic Sea to carry out a treasure hunt. Their goal is to salvage a cargo ship that sank to the bottom of the sea more than 100 years ago, carrying 900 bottles of precious French wine on board. It is said that during the First World War, the ship sailed from France to St. Petersburg, Russia, and the wine was going to be given to Nicholas II, the last emperor of the Russian Empire. Unexpectedly, the ship was stopped by a German submarine. Since alcohol products were smuggled goods at the time, the crew decided to save their lives and let the ship sink and return to the motherland safely. The wreckage of the sunken ship was first discovered in 1999, but due to the serious damage to the hull, many salvage teams have been unsuccessful. Until this time, the professional forces of Sweden, Russia, and Finland set off again and finally successfully fished up these centuries-old wines. Salvage personnel said that the wine was not only expensive in itself but also part of the glorious history of the Russian Empire. If you are curious about these wines, we can also reveal a few more words. There are 600 bottles of Delamain Pale and 300 bottles of Benedictine, especially this liqueur, which is said to have been prepared by French monks more than 500 years ago, and Bacardi is now producing the same one. Number 10. Giant Pyrosome. Seeing that there seems to be no particularly frightening underwater adventure, right? Then the last one needs you to be careful. There is a giant creature in the ocean. Its body is like a thick pipe. One end is open and the other end is sealed. Without eyes, nose, or mouth, it just floats limply in the water. Although they vary in size, they are basically more than 10 meters in length and the extreme ones can even exceed 30 meters. The name Giant Pyrosome is very suitable for them. In detail, pyrosome is actually a very primitive zooplankton. They only drift with the current and do not move by themselves, so it always seems to go to seed. But many people don't know that the reason why the giant pyrosome looks huge is that it is not only a single individual but is composed of thousands of pyrosomes of various sizes and they use team strategies. As the number increases, their length will become more and more ridiculous. In fact, being too long is not a good thing, but it will reduce the efficiency of movement. In addition, pyrosome also has a very peculiar ability that is luminescence. Imagine being surrounded by darkness in the deep sea, but they emit fire-like light. Isn't it a bit weird? Number 9. Dvarka Ancient Ruins. As one of the 4 ancient civilizations, India has always been full of mystery. There are a large number of temples and ancient ruins here, many of which have the background of mythological stories. It is striking that there may be a more real relationship between ancient Indian mythology and ancient ruins. In the hearts of Indian pilgrims, the ancient city of Dvarka has an irreplaceable position. Its history can be traced back to about 3200 BC. It is one of the 8 holy cities of Hinduism and the place where believers worship Krishna, the head of the gods. It's a pity that this old city was later submerged by floods, and its remains are also missing. Until recently, archaeologists made a major new discovery in the Gulf of Kambat, India. At a depth of 36 meters, 40 kilometers from the coastline, scientists discovered a large-scale ancient ruins, which is likely to be the submerged old city of Dvarka. Coincidentally, in Hindu legend, Krishna's kingdom of Dwarka was flooded. To commemorate this god and his kingdom, his people built a city on the Gujarat peninsula in India. It is said that there are several ancient temples buried under it with a history of more than 3,000 years. Faced with such an astonishing similarity, many people may not be able to help but sigh. Is this a myth that has come into reality, or has the fate of this ancient city been written into the myth? Number 8. The Pyramid under the Sea of Yanaguni. When it comes to pyramids, many people may first think of the pyramids in Egypt. But in fact, under the ocean also hides this kind of mysterious ancient civilization. There is a rare island in the westernmost part of Japan called Yanaguni. In 1985, when a Japanese diver was diving on the seabed, he accidentally discovered architectural remains made of a large number of stones, which looked very similar to a pyramid. Since then, scientists have successively discovered various stone buildings, city gates, statues, and so on. They even saw hieroglyph-like patterns on stone walls. Where did this mysterious ancient relic come from? The outside world has been arguing about this, and some scholars believe that it is obviously man-made. But some people think that this architectural structure does not belong to the ancient civilization of Japan, so they boldly infer that it is a masterpiece of aliens. However, according to the latest research by the scientific expedition team, it is generally believed that this pyramid is likely to be a temple used by ancient people to worship. Judging from the sand and stone left on the monument, it may have a history of 2,000 years ago. Meanwhile, the two rectangular boulders found around the gates, 150 meters long, 40 meters wide, and 27 meters high, were probably the cornerstones of the temple below, their tops about 5 meters above the sea level, presumably built at a later stage with additional manpower. Number 7. The underwater ancient city Baiae. For some people, the city of Baiae may be a little strange, but in the long river of history, it once had its own bright moments. During the ancient Roman Empire, Baiae was a desirable place, not only with a mild climate but also with hot springs everywhere, and it was a gathering place for elites and celebrities. Many famous figures in ancient Rome, including Julius Caesar, lived here. However, in the 8th century AD, the Saracens sacked the city and Baiae lost its former prosperity since then and was finally completely forgotten in the 16th century. With the frequent volcanic activity and the slowly rising water level, this low-lying bay city began to sink gradually and finally sank in the Gulf of Naples. But today, Baiae ushered in its own gorgeous turn and returned to people's vision as a large underwater archaeological park, attracting archaeologists and diving enthusiasts to explore. Tourists can take a glass boat and dive into the water to appreciate the ruins of ancient buildings, and at the same time feel the prosperity that remains in decay. For those who can dive, they can also go into the water by themselves and enjoy the vicissitudes of the ancient city up close. Number 6. Titanic. The sinking of the luxury cruise ship Titanic is undoubtedly one of the worst disasters in human history. No one would have thought that the destination of the maiden voyage of the so-called unsinkable Titanic would be the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Since it sank in 1912, people have never stopped searching for it. It was not until 1985 that investigators finally discovered its wreckage, and then researchers successively conducted multiple detections and photographed various scenes of the wreckage. In 2019, the team led by explorer Victor Vescovo launched a manned submersible for the first time, diving into the depths of the ocean at a depth of more than 3,700 meters and took pictures with a diving camera with a 4K lens. To their shock, only 14 years had passed since the last close inspection by scientists. Yet the wreck was in a much worse state, with fragments disintegrating and the bathtub in the captain's bedroom missing. The starboard side that witnessed the love between Jack and Rose in the movie Titanic is also beyond recognition. Due to the erosion of deep-sea currents and microbial populations, the rate at which the wreck of the Titanic disappeared is accelerating. To understand how quickly the remaining wreckage continues to erode, Victor's team built a metal experiment platform and placed it near the wreckage by means of a robotic arm. Towards the end of the dive, team members held a small memorial service on deck in memory of all those who perished with the wreck at the bottom of the ocean. In a few more years, the wreckage of the entire hull will completely merge into the sea and cease to exist. Number 5. Ocean crop circles. Among the many unsolved mysteries, crop circles have always been on the list. Although there has been controversy in the scientific community over how to explain the large flat geometric patterns that appear on wheat fields for more than 40 years, people have discovered mysterious strange circles in the depths of the ocean. How to explain this? In 1995, a Japanese deep-sea photographer discovered these strange circles for the first time while diving. They not only have beautiful lines but also have very coherent patterns. At first, scientists speculated that underwater currents or volcanic gas emissions might have caused the intricate shapes, but none of the theories fit perfectly. The patterns were far too symmetrical, almost like underwater mandalas carved with purpose and precision. Divers who tried to observe the phenomenon reported that new circles appeared overnight, each one slightly different from the last, leading to rumors of alien intervention. Even marine biologists were baffled by the perfect geometry of the rings, some spanning over 6 feet in diameter. It wasn't until high-definition cameras captured a small fish tirelessly working on the sand that the mystery began to unfold. This humble artist turned out to be the male white-spotted pufferfish, sculpting these elaborate patterns grain by grain to attract a mate. In the following 16 years, scientific researchers, marine experts, and ecologists have explored around this mystery, but there has been no progress. It was not until 2011 that the truth surfaced. Scientists have discovered that it is neither humans nor aliens that left the mysterious circle on the seabed, but the famous local puffer fish. In order to attract females, male puffer fish carefully design beautiful patterns to achieve the purpose of courtship. They will spend a long time in the sand on the bottom of the sea, planing little by little with their fins less than 15 centimeters, until they are satisfied. It is said that male pufferfish are very clear in their hearts that the quality of their works will directly determine the grade of their other half, so they must take it seriously. Number 4. Baltic Sea Anomaly. Although human beings have never stopped exploring, the ocean and outer space are like two black boxes that will never be seen through. In 2011, a Swedish marine expedition discovered a huge device in the Baltic Sea. Because of its strange shape and unknown origin, no one knew what it was, so it was named Baltic Sea Anomaly. According to the memory of team leader Peter Lindbergh, he accidentally discovered this unknown object when he led the Ocean X team to search for the wrecked ship in the nearby waters. Its diameter is about 18 meters and there are many traces of movement around it. From the appearance, it looks like a giant mushroom. Divers who approached it described its surface as smooth yet scorched, as if it had endured intense heat or pressure. Some reported seeing strange geometric patterns carved into the structure, faintly glowing under the floodlights of their submersible. Samples collected from nearby sediments revealed metals rarely found in nature, sparking debates about whether it was man-made or extraterrestrial. Lindbergh himself claimed to have felt an inexplicable vibration through the hull of the submarine as they hovered above the site. The surrounding seabed appeared unnaturally disturbed, as though something massive had once landed or slid across it. Even sonar imaging of the formation showed unusual symmetry, further deepening the mystery. It is even highly similar to the Falcon spaceship that appeared in Star Wars, which led everyone to suspect that it came to Earth to perform a special mission. Joking aside, these unsolved mysteries are the norm for ocean exploration. But this time was a bit special. The Ocean X team found that every time they got close to this object, any electronic equipment and satellite communication facilities would fail. Only when they retreated to a place 200 meters away did the various equipment return to normal work. So they concluded that this unknown object could emit a certain power magnetic field. Maybe it was really a UFO or a spaceship. Until now, there are still many speculations, but this mysterious object is still lying quietly underwater. Number 3. The Imprisoned Mermaid. Indonesia, the country of thousands of islands, has always been a sacred place in the minds of many diving enthusiasts. There are not only sunshine and beaches, but also many hidden pristine islands with beautiful scenery and a wide variety of marine life. A group of divers saw a shocking scene on the bottom of the sea here. They were diving in the remote Coco Maldives when they came across a cage in the dive area containing a dugong mother and her son. Dugong's mother's tail was tied by an iron chain and there were many wounds on her body, so she must have been locked up for a long time. The divers, stunned and heartbroken, swam closer to confirm what they were seeing. Two living creatures trapped beneath the waves, their mournful eyes staring back through the rusted bars. The mother's breathing was labored, and her calf swam in small, frantic circles around her, nudging her wounds as if trying to comfort her. The divers recorded the heartbreaking sight, their air bubbles rising silently toward the surface as they exchanged helpless glances. One diver later recalled how the dugong mother made a low, haunting sound, a noise unlike anything they had ever heard, part cry, part sigh, echoing through the water. They could see pieces of seaweed floating inside the cage, clearly left by the fishermen as meager food for the imprisoned pair. The serenity of the ocean was replaced with a heavy, suffocating sadness as the divers realized they were witnessing not just cruelty, but the captivity of a symbol of peace and innocence. Its desperate appearance makes people feel heartbroken, and the culprit behind this turned out to be the local fishermen. In order to earn huge profits from sightseeing, they imprisoned the precious dugong for tourists to take close-up photos. The divers were stunned to see the scene in front of them and immediately asked the fishermen to let dugong go. Although the fishermen didn't agree at first, they agreed perfunctorily later. The divers were still worried and went to check again the next day, but the fishermen did not fulfill their promises. So they posted the video on social media and contacted the Indonesian Minister of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries to remind the authorities of the fact that dugong is endangered. As the video continued to spread on the internet, Animal protection organizations also rushed to the rescue after hearing the news. With their joint efforts, the dugong mother and son finally regained their freedom. Number 2. Cleopatra's Lost City. If there is one thing that everyone in the archaeological world is interested in, it might be the location of Cleopatra's tomb. As the last female pharaoh in ancient Egypt, Cleopatra's life can be said to be full of drama. She is not only outstanding in appearance and intelligence but also good at using means. Even Caesar is obsessed with her, but in the end she was bitten to death by one of her poisonous snakes, which is embarrassing. What is even more bizarre is that her tomb has not been found for thousands of years. Over the years, countless archaeologists have searched for clues, combing through ancient texts and diving into the submerged ruins near the Mediterranean coast. Some believe Cleopatra was buried alongside Mark Antony, her lover, in a secret chamber that symbolized their eternal union. Others suggest her body was intentionally hidden by loyal followers to protect her remains from Roman desecration. When Martinez began her excavation beneath the ancient temple of Taposiris Magna, she uncovered mysterious inscriptions referencing the last queen, fueling speculation that she was on the right track. Divers exploring nearby waters have even found relics of what appears to be a sunken sanctuary, possibly linked to the royal burial site. With each discovery, amulets, pottery fragments, and golden artifacts, the story of Cleopatra seems to resurface, bridging myth and reality. The atmosphere in the temple corridors is said to be eerie yet awe-inspiring, as if history itself is holding its breath, waiting to reveal the truth. Historians and scientists believe that this is likely to be related to the frequent earthquakes in Egypt between 320 and 1303 AD. Temples and tombs were also submerged underwater due to the tsunami caused by the earthquake. Following this line of thought, a joint archaeological team led by Dr. Kathleen Martinez finally found a 1.3-kilometer-long underground aqueduct in a temple outside Alexandria, which is likely to unravel the mystery of Cleopatra's tomb. The tunnel is 14 meters deep from the ground, so there is still a lot of preparatory work to be done before excavation can take place. Martinez's team, which discovered important artifacts back in 1998, also found coins with images of Cleopatra and Alexander the Great, sphinxes, and other statues in the temple. All this looks like a good omen, and it is estimated that the disappearance of the tomb is not far away. Number 1. Pavlopetri. Pavlopetri is definitely one of the earliest sunken cities in the Mediterranean. Although it was not discovered by geologists until 1967, the port city actually existed as early as the Neolithic age 3,000 years ago. When archaeologists discovered this ancient relic under the sea for the first time in 1967, they were shocked by the picture before them. They never imagined that there would be such a large-scale modern city here. There are roads, courtyards, houses, temples, and even cemeteries. Divers described how eerie it felt swimming through the submerged streets, with the outlines of walls and doorways still clearly visible beneath a thin veil of sand. It was as if time had stopped, leaving behind a ghostly echo of a civilization frozen mid-breath. Some artifacts, such as pottery fragments and stone tools, were discovered resting exactly where they had fallen thousands of years ago. Marine archaeologists used advanced mapping techniques to reconstruct the city in 3D, revealing intricate city planning that rivaled even modern coastal towns. Locals have long told tales of the sunken kingdom, passed down through generations, believing the ruins to be cursed or guarded by sea spirits. Scientists, however, saw it as proof that ancient Greek civilizations were far more advanced in maritime trade and engineering than once believed. Each expedition uncovered more evidence of complex water systems, suggesting the inhabitants understood tides and currents with remarkable precision. The discovery even prompted comparisons to Atlantis, though researchers insist Pavlopetri's story is grounded in history, not myth. It is no exaggeration to say that this place can exceed the design plans of some contemporary cities. After this attempt, archaeologists are preparing to conduct a second exploration of the ancient city. In 2009, with the help of laser positioning and sonar scanning technology, the archaeological team made new discoveries. The city is far larger than previously estimated, and there are actually large halls and monumental buildings. This shows that the city had an important position at the time, but what caused the city to disappear? Marine geologists have yet to find a definitive answer, but most experts are more inclined to attribute the cause to changes in sea level or a series of small earthquakes caused by the ground subsidence. Now it has been opened to tourists as a scenic spot, which may be a good thing for archaeologists, but experts may not like it. After all, this ancient city is already a 1,000-year-old man, even though it looks very young, but still can't stand the toss of tourists. The topic about the ocean seems to be very grand, but if someone asks you what kind of charm the ocean has, the answer will become more specific, such as what we introduced today. If you have any unforgettable diving experiences, please leave a message and share with us. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with our newest exciting videos.